Right, 7 August 2024. And today I'm going to be giving you my update for this day. So this is our first update of the day. We normally have 2 updates a day. And today I've got a very interesting story, and in fact, a number of very interesting stories. So let's start with Sadak. Tomorrow, Sadak is going to start working on the agenda of the Sadak Heads of State Summit. So this agenda is developed by senior officials of Sadak and ministers of foreign affairs of the different 16 countries in Sadak. And what has happened is that, as I said yesterday, Zimbabwe has been placed on the agenda. In fact, Mnangagwa's actions have been placed on the agenda. And this has angered Mnangagwa. So what has angered Mnangagwa is that a number of presidents have specifically asked their foreign affairs ministers to make sure that Mnangagwa's behavior is discussed at Sadak. So yesterday, Mnangagwa's permanent secretary went on national radio to talk about this, and that was at Star FM. And he has said that this is not acceptable. He does not accept what the SADC presidents are planning to do, and they are challenging any action by a SADC country that wants to do 2 things. So there are 2 things that are on the pipeline. The first one is to move the SADC summit from Zimbabwe altogether in protest at what Mnangagwa is doing. And secondly, there is a possibility that Mnangagwa will not be made the chairperson of SADC. I've said this yesterday. So Ambassador Albert Chimbindi has told the Star FM radio station that there is a process that was agreed in Angola during the last SADC summit, and SADC countries cannot change this, as this was agreed in Angola. He also said that there are processes and ways in which things are done, and it's not arbitrary. So Mnangagwa is feeling the heat, and this is something that we have to watch very, very carefully. Something big is about to happen regarding the SADC summit, and Mnangagwa knows about this, so he's making efforts to threaten the SADC presidents not to take action. Why should the SADC presidents take action? Currently, there are over 120 people in jail. That is opposition activists who are currently in jail over gatherings. That means they were just having a meeting and they have not been tried. There's not been any trial of these people. They've been sitting in jail, some of them for over 50 days, including acting opposition leader Simba. So the SADC presidents are obviously saying this is not acceptable. There's been an outcry in South Africa. The Zambians have spoken. All the other countries are speaking behind the scenes and says, sort out this situation. But Mnangagwa is now saying to the SADC presidents that there is nothing that has happened in Zimbabwe that warrants a movement of the SADC summit from Zimbabwe. So that was Permanent Secretary of the Foreign Affairs of Zimbabwe, Chimbindi, Albert Chimbindi, speaking yesterday at Star FM. He said that SADC presidents cannot make that decision without following a process. So we're watching here something very, very big about to happen. People are fed up with what Mnangagwa is doing, and we're going to see something happening tomorrow. Tomorrow, the SADC agenda is going to be out. Maybe they'll not publish it, but the agenda will be agreed between tomorrow, the 8th, and the 11th. So there's going to be fireworks, and Mnangagwa has already fired the first shots. He says that you cannot change what was agreed in Angola. So that is our first story for today. And now let me move to the most interesting stories of the day. I want to start here. So let's remove the banner. Koma more boys, Munets. He's my brother, and he calls me once in a while to talk to me. And something really bad has happened. So yesterday, a court in Sandton has ruled that these two, Haiti and Kiki, must pay over 100,000 rands for the lawyers of Mkumamo Boys Munetsi. This is after they defamed him. So they defamed Mkumamo Boys Munetsi on their Facebook page. And he has taken them to court where they first agreed to remove the posts. But then after some time, I don't know what happened. They went on a break. They then changed their mind and they said they're not going to remove the documents on their Facebook pages. So there is a court judgment that has been issued here, and we are going to put it on Gambakwe, and you see the full names of Taiti and Kiki. So I think this is terrible because there are two more court cases which Mkumamo Boys is going to be bringing against Taiti and Kiki. And this is going to be very costly because one of them is probably looking for about 2 million in defamation damages. So Taiti and Kiki have lost the first court case, and the demand is for 100,000 rands for the lawyers, which they've already lost. So they're probably going to have to pay the 100,000 rands for the lawyers of Mkumamo Boys Munetsi. Don't mess with the Mkumamo Boys Munetsi. I don't know kunyudza quick, and more. I know the Taiti and Kiki are down here in Cape Town. So let's see if one day I can meet them and we can have a chat over this situation. I think this can easily be discussed. And I know Mkumamo Boys, if I tell him to cease fire, he's going to do it. So they can call me and we can have a discussion over this whole matter, and everything can go away very, very easily. Then I want to go to another interesting story, and I'll try to play for you a video. So the Zimbabwe military has gone to Uganda, and they've sent about 10 officers to Uganda. So this was published by the Ugandans yesterday. And the reason why the Zimbabwe military has gone to Uganda, the officers, is because they say Zimbabwe is probably going to face threats over the discovery of minerals, of gas in Zimbabwe. So let me try to play for you this video where Zimbabwe has gone to Uganda, and they're trying to get assistance because they've discovered minerals, gas in Zimbabwe. So let's play this video and hear what he has to say. I'm going to quickly play this video.
For the resource case, I have noted that most of the terrorist activities are taking place where we have these resources such as oil, mining, and gas. And as Zimbabwe recently have also discovered gas in our country, and we are also looking forward probably to also these terrorists, one way or the other.
Guys, the only gas that Mnangagwa has discovered is the gas in his house. I don't think there is any gas in Zimbabwe, which warrant visit Uganda. I think these guys are just crazy, you know? Like, honestly, let me tell you what the problem is. The problem is the military in Zimbabwe is being used by Mnangagwa for his personal purposes. The military of Zimbabwe will eventually take leadership in our country, and the next government that is coming must have a very strong military that won't talk this nonsense that is happening right now. If we had a strong military right now, Mnangagwa was going to be brought to order, and he was not going to continue with what he's doing right now, which is to cause a general chaos, arrest citizens, cause hunger, and all the things that are happening. Our military has failed in its duty to protect the citizens. And the arrest of 120 people and throwing them in jail without a trial is exactly on the shoulders of the military. There should be someone in the military who will take a phone and phone Mnangagwa and tell him to stop. Right now, that person does not exist. Not this gas that they are breathing. Top. The guys at the top are busy breathing their own gas. That is all I can tell you about Machinda Aya. These guys, there's no gas in Zimbabwe that can warrant a visit to Uganda. So you can see, Kuti, we are getting into a crazy season. And what I would want if I was a politician, I was going to make sure that our military is well resourced, the officers are well paid, and we have the equipment that is necessary. And we give them everything that they need for us to become a successful country with a military that is almost running a very big chunk of what is happening in the country, because the military is permanent, a president is temporary. What Mnangagwa is trying to do, as I said before, is to make the military temporary and himself permanent, which is crazy. And I believe that we've got people in the military who understand right now that we are in the wrong direction, but I don't believe that there is the necessary leadership to take us where we need to go. And if I was a candidate, or if I was going to campaign and I was going to become a president, what I would do is to make sure that our military almost takes a leadership role in our country, because we've got a poor history regarding what's happening with state security. So when you look at in Zimbabwe intelligence, it's been captured. If you look at Zimbabwe police prisons, have been captured. The only place you should fail to capture is the military, because if you capture the military, then that becomes a banana republic. It's clear that a country which military is captured is a banana republic. So ideologically, the military needs to be so independent and so removed from the society that they can control what happens with a phone call. So if you receive a phone call from the military, you should stop what you're doing. Right now, it's not possible for that to happen. And this needs to be resolved. Whoever comes next, and I'm always talking about whoever comes next, because we need to change the architecture of the country. There's a poor architecture. Security architecture of a country is very poor, where someone can go and take someone off a plane and start to beat them up. What is that? What is security there? Well, what are you doing when you're beating someone up for something that you're investigating? For what purpose are you beating someone up or locking someone up for 50 days? And if you're a military, that is the point when you should come out and say, what is this? So my brothers, I know Kuti, and they're not totally responsible. They're in Uganda over there. But in terms of what needs to happen, the military needs to take leadership. And in future, the military should be the last line of defense. At the moment, our military is not the last line of defense. It's part of the architecture of repression. And that is how you don't develop. Developed countries, their militaries have got a 50-year strategy. 50 years strategy, that is what I'm talking about here. You look beyond what is happening to what is going to happen in 50 years, because that's national security. When you're no longer there, the security has already been put in place. And at the moment, our military does not have that 50-year strategy. And they are looking at Mnangagwa's term. And that is what makes them decide what to do. Crazy stuff by the Zimbabwe military. But I think we can have that conversation. I'm very passionate about the military, because I believe that a weak country is an embarrassment. It can easily be taken over, especially a rich country like Zimbabwe. It must have the most strongest security structures. And when I see a soldier and a policeman and the intelligence, I mustn't be afraid. I must feel safe when I see a soldier, when I see an intelligence. Right now, when I see an intelligence guy, I start thinking twice. Am I going to be safe? Am I going to be protected? And who is this guy working for? Whereas a military should be working on a structure, a proper structure of security. How do you secure our borders? How do you secure our barracks? How do you secure our national interest? And that is lacking right now. That is what I'm talking about, Kuti. Whoever is coming next must understand how to create a military-led country. So a military-led country where individuals cannot destroy the nation. At the moment, 2 or 3 individuals can destroy the nation, which is crazy. Now let's look at the next story. I tend to get carried away with these military stories, which is crazy because I would never fire a gun myself. Now let's go to, in fact, I fire a gun in my head and it's more powerful than an actual gun. Let's go to some entertainment stories. In Bulawayo, there's been an embarrassing story where Petroleum has been fined $400 for selling contaminated petrol. So Sydney Singende, 31, has pleaded guilty at the Bulawayo Magistrates Court after it was found by Zera inspectors that Petroleum was diluting unleaded petrol up to 23% with ethanol when it should not have any. So there are certain cars that don't run on unleaded petrol. So when you go to the garage, you say unleaded or petrol, whatever they call it in Zimbabwe, and only to find out that these guys were pouring ethanol into the petrol, which damages some new engines. So some cars can't run on ethanol. And so when you ask for petrol that does not have ethanol, you should get petrol that does not have ethanol. But this guy, Singende, was doing his own thing. 5,000 liters of petrol have been sealed. So they can't sell it now because of that particular case. So Mkoma Singende, sort out yourself there in Bulawayo. Then in the H Metro newspaper and the Herald, so this story is carried in 2 newspapers. You can see that there's that young man at the center there. He's 29-year-old Blessing Machai. He found his girlfriend or wife, Linda Moyo, with his friend, Takunda Chitope. Takunda is 24 years old. And they were in bed at a house in Eastleigh, at his house. So when he entered the house, he was infuriated and he took out a kitchen knife and stabbed 2 of them, the 2 of them, Linda and Takunda Chitope. Luckily, he did not kill them, so they're all alive. And he was reported to the police. He's currently in police custody over this matter. So you can go and check out this story in the Herald newspaper and in the H Metro newspaper. Then we want to look at South Africa, where Connie Chueme, a popular actress, has passed away at a hospital in Johannesburg, which was admitted for a procedure. So she passed away yesterday, and that's very sad. Then in sports, at Dynamos, the coach has quit. So the coach of Dynamos is called Genesis Mangombe. He quit about 2 days ago and immediately went to Scotland. So this is when he resigned, and then he went to Scotland, a team owned by Scott Sapkwanya, which is in the Division 1. And the way they lured him is they gave him this Toyota vehicle and also a fat package. So he's going to get more money. And in the meantime, Lloyd Chigowe is going to be the Dynamos coach, the Dynamos interim coach. So on Saturday, Dynamos is going to play Simba Bora in Bulawayo. And then next week, they're going to travel to Botswana, where they're going to be playing Zesco. So it's crazy what's happening with the soccer groups, soccer teams. And this is the Dynamos executive here. If you look on the left, all the people that are on the left, the first four have already left. And the one at the top left there, he was also left. Dynamos is a most popular team in Zimbabwe. It's got the biggest following after or before, just before Cape United and Highlanders. These are the community teams that have existed in the PSL for a very long time. And there are people who are so fanatical about these teams. Yeah, if you say anything about them, it's like you say something about Chamisa. If you say something about Chamisa, you know what will happen to you. Ask Chabangu. What happens when you say something about Chamisa? Ununyura. So that is the story we have about entertainment. Let me go and look at what else is happening. And I'm particularly interested in what Miss Trudy has been doing. So Miss Trudy is a Kenyan content producer. So I said last week that something is happening between Miss Trudy and her husband, Wodemaya. And obviously I haven't confirmed nothing, but Wodemaya has come out and said he's going through a lot and he's going to reveal very, very soon what is going on. So we're all watching to see what he's going to say whenever he gets through what he's going through. He says he's going to reveal because he's going to pass through a lot over the past few weeks. So on your screen is Miss Trudy and Kelvin Biriot. And these guys are producers, content producers. And this was at the house of Kelvin Biriot, where Miss Trudy had visited. She's currently in Zimbabwe, but I haven't seen her producing any content. I just wanted to know that Gambakwe Media is the biggest channel in Zimbabwe. 14 years of Gambakwe Media, broadcasting 2 times a day, over 100,000 views a day. Saka, she must know that she's in Gambakwe territory, and also she mustn't be lied to that Mnangagwa is a good guy. I know that Mnangagwa guys can bring you to Zimbabwe and tell you that Mnangagwa is like as soft as wool. He's not. And when I went to Zimbabwe with my kids, they were like, so is Chamisa the president of Zimbabwe? Because they always talk about Chamisa. And I said, no, the president is Mnangagwa. And they said, how did that happen? And I had to go through all this big explanation about how the elections were rigged and how people are oppressed. So she must be careful not to say anything when she's over there because obviously they'll arrest her, they'll throw her into jail. Currently, we've got someone who's been thrown into jail in Masvingo. So Miss Trudy must not say anything against ZANU when she's in Zimbabwe. She'll get arrested. So she must just chill and pretend like she doesn't see what's happening. And then she will say the real thing when she gets out. When she's over there. You can't arrest 120 people and keep them in jail and still have a heart. You must be a very evil person to arrest someone and keep them in jail for 50 days. And every country is phoning you to say, release these people, release these people. And you don't. That is the worst evil that a person can be. And normally when that happens, God wants to punish you in public. When you see yourself continuing to oppress other people, God now wants to punish you in public. And that is what God wants to do to Mnangagwa. He wants to punish him in public. He wants to let him do what he's doing so that he can punish him in public. The things that are going to happen to Mnangagwa have never happened to anyone before. Today, Bishop Nyamakanga is appearing in court together with Jacob Mkaruvume. They're appearing at 8 a.m. And later on, Namatai Kukweza is appearing in court. And also the 78 Avondo are appearing in court. The Kariba 13 are appearing in court. And the Mutare 11 are appearing in court. We've got a massive number of people appearing in court today over nothing. Just because Mnangagwa is irrational and erratic, and his security services just arrest anyone for no reason, which is crazy. Now, I want to go to a recap. Let's recap. We said Mnangagwa has warned Sadak that there was an agreement in Angola that Zimbabwe will be the next venue of the Sadak summit, heads of state summit, and that Mnangagwa will be chairperson, and that this cannot be changed without following a process. So this was said by the permanent secretary of the Zimbabwe Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Albert Chimbindi, while speaking at Star FM. So it's getting closer and closer. Something's about to happen. Tomorrow, the senior officials of SADC and the foreign affairs ministers of 16 countries are going to meet in Zimbabwe to decide on the agenda and also on other issues. So it's a very critical period. By the 11th, we will know whether the SADC will be in Zimbabwe or not. And we will know if Mnangagwa will be chairman or not. And we will know all those issues I was talking about yesterday on the agenda, the rigging of the elections, the SIOM report, and also the human rights violations by Mnangagwa. So what I would like to say before I go is that we've got a critical period ahead of us, and the military is going to play a very important role. The military of Zimbabwe is going to play a very key role going forward. We can't have a country where the military doesn't have a say. They go out there talking about gas and all that kind of stuff, when in their own country, we've got a security situation. So our military currently in Uganda right now, but not dealing with the matters that are there in Zimbabwe right now. Someone needs to bring Mnangagwa to order. And if the military can't do it, then who's going to do it? We've got guys like the guy here, Joe Pomona, posing as business people. We've got Wikino Chivayo. We've got all these issues we've been raising. And now Chimombe. Totally nothing has happened to Gumba. These things, that is where the military normally needs to step in and make that call and says we've crossed the line. And right now we've crossed that line. We're now starting to affect the region of Sadak. Right, I think I've covered all the things I wanted to cover this morning. And I'll give you guys an update as soon as we know what has happened to the people that are appearing in court today. It's a critical period, and we need to provide leadership in terms of news. But I would like to call upon people like Chamisa to provide proper leadership so that we cover the leadership vacuum that currently exists in our country. There's a massive leadership vacuum in our country. We need people to take their positions and convert our country into a country run by systems and a successful country. Zimbabwe is going to do so well. We've got the architecture is easy to set up. The foundation is there. What we need to do is to stop what is happening right now. The only problem in Zimbabwe is Mnangagwa. Mnangagwa Arkurava Nenzara. Mnangagwa is destroying our country. And we need a new, fresh country, a new, fresh ideas, and a fresh start. So very soon, you will see a new direction. Things are going to happen very, very soon. And as time goes on, we're going to be announcing new things so that this never happens again, what is happening in our country. So I'd like to thank you all for joining. And as I promised, I'll be here. We've been broadcasting live every single day since December, non-stop. And we're going to be here. I'm not going to step away from this important spiritual duty. We've got a spiritual duty to turn our country into a successful country. And we have to all be present. So if you've got a platform, don't be quiet when you have to speak up. Speak up about the people that are arrested and take responsibility for our future. Do not outsource your responsibilities to other people. Thank you very much, everyone, for watching. And I'll see you again in the evening. And a good day